was his willingness to be vulnerable at the UN in front of all these world leaders, especially as a non-native English speaker. Hey everyone, today we have another terrific video for you. I'm gonna be breaking down and analyzing one of the biggest boy bands in all of Korea and the world. They're known as BTS. They're a huge deal, and they had a speech at the UN which I will be reacting to. So let's get right into it.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, UNICEF Executive Director, and all the excellencies and distinguished guests from across the world. My name is Kim Namjoon, also known as RM, the leader of the group BTS. It is an incredible honor to be invited to an occasion with such significance for today's young generation. Last November, BTS launched the Love Myself campaign with UNICEF, building on our belief that true love first begins with loving myself. We've been partnering with UNICEF's End Violence program to protect children and young people all over the world from violence. And our fans have become a major part of this campaign with their action and with their enthusiasm. We truly have the best fans in the world. And I'd like to begin by talking about myself. I was born in Ilsan, a city near Seoul, South Korea. It is a really beautiful place with a lake, hills, and even an annual flower festival. I spent a very happy childhood there, and I was just an ordinary boy. I used to look up at the night sky and wonder, and I used to dream the dreams of a boy. I used to imagine that I was a superhero who could save the world. And in an intro to one of our early albums, there's a line that says, "My heart stopped when I was maybe 9 or 10. Looking back, I think that's when I began to worry about what other people thought of me and starting seeing myself through their eyes. I stopped looking up at the night skies, the stars. I stopped daydreaming. Instead, I just tried to jam myself into the malls that other people made. Soon, I began to shut out my own voice and started to listen to the voices of others. No one called out my name, and neither did I. My heart stopped and my eyes closed shut. So, like this, we all lost our names. We became like ghosts. But I had one sanctuary, and that was music. There was a small voice inside of me that said, "Wake up, man, and listen to yourself." But it took me quite a long time to hear music calling my real name. Even after making the decision to join BTS, there were a lot of hurdles. Some people might not believe, but most people thought we were hopeless. And sometimes I just wanted to quit. But I think I was very lucky that I didn't give it all up. And I'm sure that I and we will keep stumbling and falling like this. BTS has become artists performing in those huge stadiums and selling millions of albums right now, but I am still an ordinary 24-year-old guy. If there's anything that I've achieved, it was only possible that I have my other BTS members right by my side, and because of the love and the support that our ARMY fans all over the world made for us. And maybe I made a mistake yesterday, but yesterday's me is still me. Today, I am who I am with all of my faults and my mistakes. Tomorrow, I might be a tiny bit wiser, and that'd be me too. These faults and mistakes are what I am, making up the brightest stars in the constellation of my life. I have come to love myself for who I am, for who I was, and for who I hope to become. I like to say the one last thing. After releasing our Love Yourself albums and launching the Love Myself campaign, we started to hear remarkable stories from our fans all over the world, how our message helped them overcome their hardships in life and start loving themselves. Those stories constantly remind us of our responsibility. So, let's take all one more step. We have learned to love ourselves. So now I urge you to speak yourself. I like to ask all of you, what is your name? What excites you and makes your heart beat? Tell me your story. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your conviction. No matter who you are, where you're from, your skin color, your gender identity, just speak yourself. Find your name and find your voice by speaking yourself. I'm Kim Namjoon and also RM of BTS. I'm an idol and I'm an artist from a small town in Korea. Like most people, I've made many and plenty mistakes in my life. I have many faults and I have many more fears, but I'm gonna embrace myself as hard as I can. And I'm starting to love myself gradually, just little by little. What is your name? Speak yourself. Thank you very much.
Alright, so that was RM, the leader of BTS, speaking. We'll now be breaking down what he did well and where he could improve and give him a rating on communication skills at the end. What stands out the most was his willingness to be vulnerable. He was willing to admit his past mistakes, which takes a certain level of courage and sincerity, which he has clearly. He said he tried to jam himself into the mold of others early on in his life, but then later on learned to just accept himself, and a few other incidents in his life which displayed vulnerability once again. The second thing that I liked were the questions that he posed, especially in the second half of his talk, to the audience, which were very thought-provoking and got the audience engaged. Things like, what is your name? What is your story? Or what excites you? That's one of the things that I feel could be slightly changed, where he could have asked questions like these, like what is your name or what is your story, at the beginning of his talk as a hook, because I noticed that there wasn't really much of a hook. He just sort of introduced himself and moved on to talking about his life. Generally speaking, it's best to hook your audience and get them engaged as early as possible. So we're talking first 20 seconds or 30 seconds of your talk. You want to get them engaged, because if you aren't able to do that, there's a chance that your audience might tune you out for the entirety of the talk if you don't get them early. One of the things I noticed was that he had his notes with him, which he used throughout his talk, and that would break his eye contact with the audience. I can understand why he would want notes, being only 24 years old, speaking at the UN in front of all these world leaders, presumably. If he had invested a little more time into preparing, I feel like he wouldn't have needed to glance back and forth between his notes and the audience, and he could still have his notes to reassure him in case he forgets his line or something, but he just wouldn't need it as much. And that would mean he could maintain eye contact with his audience a lot longer. One of the things that I thought RM did phenomenally was his usage of the pause. His vocal variety overall was great. He wasn't speeding through his talk, his pacing was good, but his use of the pause was just really outstanding, I thought. The message they delivered at this UN event was beautiful. Everyone needs to hear this, that we need to love ourselves despite all of our flaws and even be willing to speak for ourselves. Now we're gonna rate RM's communication skills in 5 different areas. First up is the language. For language, I'm gonna give him a 4 out of 5. He was clear and easy to understand for the audience. Especially as a non-native English speaker, I thought he did a great job. Next is the vocal variety, which I will give him a 5 out of 5 on. Eye contact is where he could slightly improve. I'm gonna give him a 4 on this one out of 5. Gestures were non-existent, so I'm not gonna rate him on his gestures. Comfort level, he's gonna get a 4 out of 5. Overall, I'm gonna give him a 4.3 out of 5 stars. There are definitely areas that he could improve and work on, but he's still very, very talented for a 24-year-old. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think, and if there are any recommendations for the next person you would like me to analyze and evaluate, please give me your suggestions in the comments. Thank you very much. Smash that like button and hit subscribe if you want to see more of this type of content. See you in the next one.